Tonight on the podcast, we're getting you caught up on all that James Gunn DC drop goodness. We got other geek news, and we fill you in on what we've been up to for the last week. It's Friday night in Phoenix. You know what that means. You're locked right into the Absolute Geek Podcast. And let's
punch
go right now. It is Friday night in Phoenix. That's right. Home of the Super Bowl. You're listening to the best damn podcast in all the land. The Absolute Geek Podcast. I am Matt.
I'm Lance.
And I'm JP.
Yes, as all of the out-of-town mouth breathers descend on Phoenix for Super Bowl Sunday, we take a moment to say, get off our lawns. No, we're just kidding. Welcome. Please spend your money. We're willing to take it.
Unless you're a Packers fan.
Yeah, well.
They'll probably still be around, those guys.
They're sitting right where the Steelers are, at home on the couch.
Yeah, well, they're
right where the Cardinals are, right where everyone except the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are. I'm excited to watch Eagles fans eat horse shit in person live when the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Did they offer that
reference?
So when the Eagles won their last Super Bowl, I can't talk already. Live TMZ showed an Eagles fan live bend down and just take a big old pile of horse shit off the ground and just start eating it. So
that's
all up. Eagles fans eat horse shit. So we'll get to watch them eat horse shit live in person because they're probably winning the Super Bowl.
We'll see about that.
Kansas City shouldn't even be there.
Happy birthday. My name is Kyle. Congratulations on finally being 18. Joe's Doolin. Good evening, sir. Nice as a polka dot man, it looks like.
Evening, gentlemen, and Lance.
So Kyle's officially able to watch the show now?
Yep. You're not a gentleman, nice. Lance. You're just Lance.
I'm just Lance.
What's up, guys? What's been going on? What do we how's everything going with you guys? It's been like
work's kicking my ass.
Tell me about it. We're not here for that. We're here to have a good time.
I know. It's supposed to be us getting away from work, huh?
Mm-hmm. Hello to my beautiful wife.
I was in the Berg, the home of the Steelers, for a couple days last week and this week. And I hit some LCSs, and I was quite excited about I didn't find anything great, but it was fun to actually have an LCS to go to.
He has no stones to bust, sir.
For a second, I thought you said I hit some LSD.
Thought about it.
Whoa, JP.
This is a book that
this is a family show.
That's why now Kyle can actually see a book like this. You guys ever see this one before? This is an awesome cover.
You're not
my new favorite cover.
Distributing pornography to minors anymore, JP? So
not anymore. I'm done.
Turned over a new leaf.
His one buyer is now 18, so he's out of a job.
I got that one this week, so that was a nice little deal.
I actually did some pickups this week. Went to some LCSs, and I got nothing. I mean, nothing major. Like I got a ASM 637. The death of Madam Web and the first appearance of the new Madam Web. And then I got an amazing Spider-Man, 258, the first appearance of the Bombastic Bagman. So I'm specking heavy on Bombastic Bagman with the Edge of Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse coming.
What'd you get for that one? What'd you pay for that one?
I paid $25.
Nice.
Nothing too terrible. So I got the first appearance of the Madam Web for a steal, so goes for about 45 to 50 bucks on the line, and I got it for 10. So
I'm specking hard on Mr. Blue Beetle.
Yes.
That one I picked up, and I found a Grail for $10.
Is that the
The Loot-
facsimile or is that the Loot
The-
Crate one?
The Loot Crate one. I
All
have
right.
the Detective Comics and the more fun comics Loot Crate, so I figured I'll just finish all three. I might get them all graded just to have them to show up, to put on the wall because they're cool looking. But yeah, it's always nice to find a nice little dill out there at the LCS.
Blue Balls Beetle. Welcome, Lopez. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, that's the first books I've bought other than weekly readers in a while. So
Now, why did you buy the Bombastic Spider-Man one?
because he's
The
gonna
FOMO
be.
got to you?
Huh?
The FOMO got to you?
No. I for one am not a person who chases FOMO. Like, I mean, I already have the first appearance of Damian Wayne and all that stuff. So when Gunn dropped his news, I was like, all right, cool. I've already got all this stuff. So except the Booster Gold, but I'm not a big Booster Gold fan. But the FOMO doesn't bother me. It's just an issue of Amazing Spider-Man I didn't have, and I've passed on it several times, and I was like, I'm just gonna pick it up. It was $25, no big deal. I'll just grab it, help out my local shop a little bit, pick up something I don't have, fill runs, and then you get to see the bombastic Bagman in the trailer for the new Spider-Verse movie. So it's like, hey, why not kill two birds with one stone? Fill it half and
get
a little bombastic Bagman.
You gonna flip it when it's $50?
No. I'm not much of a flipper, dude. Like my collection is all stuff that I like to read, so I'm not much of a flipper. Like if I'm flipping books, it's because there's either A, something I really, really want, or that's pretty much it. Or B, if I start selling books like crazy, you're gonna probably be like, oh man, he lost his job, or someone needs a surgery or something, because I don't like to sell books.
Yeah, I'm not. Sometimes if I get like I always say, good margin on a book, I'll sell it. But most part, I like to. You never know when something's gonna pop, or you might want to read it. Not that I'm a big reader. I like the covers.
Somebody say flipper. No, I'm like, I guess I wouldn't say I'm like the worst at it, because I'll be like, oh, I could, something will be announced. I was like, well, I have that. I could sell that right now. And, I'm supposed to be doing what's the big thing for collectors do? You sell off books you get to buy bigger and better books, right? But I'm like, well, if I sell this book, then I don't have it anymore. And then what if it goes up in price, and then I have to pay twice what I paid for it the first time? And especially if I get it on like case in point, Edge of Spider-Verse 2, the first appearance of Spider-Gwen. I bought that book, cover price, from the comic shop. It's a 9.8. I've got it graded, and I could have pulled the trigger to sell it 100 times. And I'm like, because I really want an ASM 129. So I was like, I could have pulled this trigger a couple times. And every time I do it, but I'm like, but it's a $2,000 book. And when I do that, then I have to spend $2,000 on it. And I already bought it for $3.99, and I don't want to do this. So
it's a hell of that's a hell of an up.
It is
margin on that book. Christ.
It is. I was like I said, I was trying to pull the trigger on it to get an ASM 129 5.0. Beautiful copy. It could have been a higher grade. The only thing that was wrong with it is that it had tape on the back. Like someone stuck tape, like they were trying to bag and board it, and the tape stuck to the back of it. So it gave it a 5.0. And I was like, man. And I couldn't do it. It's just like the worst part of me is like, I can't, if I get rid of that book, then I have to rebuy it. And I don't want to rebuy it. So I'll just sit on my comics and hand them down to my daughter, who will probably sell them the second I die. So,
Yep. Well, do you like that Edge of Spider-Verse that much to keep it? Like,
well, I mean, I still think that the sky's the limit on Spider-Gwen, just like Miles, man. I think Miles, the sky's still the limit on Miles. I think sky's still the limit on Spider-Gwen. We haven't even seen the peak of Spider-Gwen yet, because she's only been in the animated stuff. If she comes into live action, if she shows up in a Marvel movie, or better yet, a Sony movie, like live action, I think that book still has a lot of ceiling left to it.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
yeah.
Just like Miles. I think Miles, we haven't even seen the peak of Miles yet. Like Miles still has so much ceiling.
I agree with that one. Same with Spider-Gwen. But would I rather have an ASM 129 or a Spider-Verse 2? Or both?
Yeah.
I guess you can have both if you get lucky.
See, I've
That's
got
the tough
that.
part.
I've got that too, Joe. Joe says I have plenty of indie series I'd love to unload, but it's no longer worth the effort due to how fast indie books fall in value after a pop. I've got that same. Really, indie book wise, if it's not like Spawn, The Walking Dead #1, probably Saga #1. Like if it's not like a #1 of like something that's popped off, like Paper Girls. I don't even think Paper Girls #1 are that expensive anymore.
Nope.
It's real hard for those indie books to stay up there.
Retain.
Yeah, Darth Lopez says a little extra money I made off the Supergirls will now pay for most of my art germ virgins since Sins of Sinister. Nice. I did actually. I lied. I got another pickup, but I've got it. Let me see if I can get it real quick. I got it pressing because. Have you noticed? I don't know if you've noticed, but I think Joe and Lopez might. When you get new books, and maybe it's just my LCS, like the bags and boards are now curved. And I hate that. I hate that the bags and boards are curved. So like I want them to be flat and pristine. I don't know if it's just the way it's packaged. Like here, let me grab some. You guys talk amongst yourself. Let me grab some stuff real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
So how you doing, Lance?
I'm good, man. I'm working on a logo for Absolute Game of Nerds.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I made an image with knuckle tattoos that say Absolute.
Nice.
Yes, sir. But yeah, man. So I'm assuming you're picking the Eagles to win.
No, I like Patty Mahomes. I don't dislike Jalen Hurts or the Eagles. I have some family members who are big Eagle fans, and since they're a Pennsylvania team, I probably should root for them. But I'm torn. I don't really have a team as of yet. Which one to pick?
Kansas City, I'm just sick and tired of.
Why?
3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, it's like the Patriots. But he only won one of them, so it isn't like...
Yeah, but I just want to see... I really wanted to see Cincinnati there and see them win one. I always root for the teams that never
don't
win.
have them yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all right, this is fresh out of a pack of bags because I just bought a bunch to rebag and board my collection. But, like, you can see that. Maybe you can't see it, like, but can you...
Oh, I can see it, yeah.
At the top it is curved?
No, it's like a...
Oh, yeah.
So I bought this. It does it to the book. So I got this Boss Logic Last Ronin Lost Years #1 variant cover. And it like the book starts to curve because of the bag and board, and it drives me nuts. So
I bought some from Ish's shop and they weren't curved.
I had this sitting under a stack of actually I had it in my printer and the scanner part was stuck on top of it trying to flatten it out, but yeah, I don't like that it curves. It drives me nuts.
If you use a blow dryer on it, get it hot. Well, obviously you don't want to do that with the book in there. But and then stack heavy stuff on it, it should flatten it out.
Yeah.
Because they have like those bag and boards kind of have like a little plasticky, like it's not just straight cardboard, right?
No, it's
got like a white. Yeah, but it's got like the dye that they use to turn that white should heat up enough to where if you put something heavy on it, it'll flatten.
Yeah, it would be just like basically they call it cooking a book, but I don't want to do that to that cover. So that's why I was
I'm just saying just do it to the board and then slide the board in once you flatten it.
Yeah, I've thought about trying to throw it in a tight short box too, Joe. I just don't want to run the risk of damaging the book. So that's why I was like, oh,
Where'd
maybe.
you buy them from?
What's that?
Where'd you buy them from?
I bought it online through Boss Logic, through his store.
Oh, they said that. Sorry.
So, yeah, it's limited to 1984, and I got 805 of 1984. It's a sweet cover. It's got Michelangelo with all the different headbands on. It shells all.
Oh, nice.
put together and stuff. So
Now, did you mention Sins of the Sinister or something like that?
that's what Darth Lopez was saying, is that he wants to buy all the Art Germ variants for Sins of Sinister, the new series that's just started out. Joe, I just spent so much money on bags and boards, and I don't want to be like, oh shit, let me just go buy more boards because of this. Like,
what'd you spend on them? $20
on bags and board, and like $30, $10 for the $10 for the bag, and like I want to say 19 or 20 on the boards, something like that.
That's insane.
But
yeah, last I bought were Silver Age ones for $20 for bags and boards, 100 each.
It just seems like everything I get from like BCS is like that though, where it's all like warped and it's hard.
Well, my a guy that has a game store near me, I told him what I was spending for bags and boards, and he's like, "Oh my God, $20! I can get him for so much cheaper because I can get him wholesale." I said, "Well, what can you get him for?" He's like, "Well, like 16." I'm like, "That isn't like the best. I have to drive up here to get him." Then I said, "I just get him delivered right to my house. That's not a great deal." And then I called him to see if he had him in because he told me he'd get him, and I'm like, "Well, I don't need him, and I'm going to be in town. I don't have him yet, and I need him. I'm going to be in town." And I got him, and they suck in regard to your book. The bag is too big for the board, the ones he gave me. And then the book moves around. It's not a tight fit. I'll never buy those ones again. So I have no problem buying from Amazon from whoever, I think it's BCS, does the Silver Age books. And they were a good price. So.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do.
But that's just my dilemma is like versus Vigilante.
Yep.
But it's the rough life of a collector, I guess.
Yeah, when you trade, are you changing everything out, your old ones, or just have too many books that aren't bagged or boarded that you need all those for?
Yeah, I just every once in a while I'll trade out my old ones. Like, part of me really wishes I didn't have a hard time selling my stuff because I've got so much crap that I want to just unload, and I'm just like, the collector in me can't do it because I think of like the time and effort I spent into getting these books and digging through books, and it's just like, do I really want to get rid of this stuff? But I'm like, oh, I'll just. And my wife, God bless her soul, is just like, oh well, we'll just move to a bigger house. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay, we're just gonna keep moving to a bigger house every time my collection expands, huh? And so
it's usually you do that because of kids, not because of comic books, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll just stop buying weekly readers. And then I'm like, oh well, I'm into these stories, I'm invested, and so do I want to stop? Like, usually I'll jump off a book when a run ends. So if they're like, oh well, this is the end of this run, we're gonna start with a new creative team and a new number one, that's when I'm like, all right, and I'll bail out. But it's hard. It really is hard.
Well, that's I go out, I stop, and I look at antique stores, or I was at the LCS a couple times. It's like a chain, so they have 6 different stores, and you go and you start looking, find some stuff, $10 here, $5 here. You like a run, like you were saying, and just it's hard to stop, and then they just pile up. So,
yeah, they do quick because like this whole closet behind me is full of boxes. Behind my door is full of boxes. It's just like, I'm drowning in comic stuff. But
is it all $10 books, $5 books, dollar books?
I mean, a lot of it is. I mean, I've got my core books. Like, my core stuff is in this closet here, and then just like the modern stuff that's not even worth what I paid for it now. And so just like my weekly reader stuff, and because I'm not like my way of collecting is much different than yours. Like, you and Rohan would go after keys, you're key hunting, and I don't do that. I'm more of I like to read them because I like them, and so I kind of collect everything, like even weekly readers. Like, I go to the shop every Wednesday, buy books every Wednesday. Like, it's just the kind of collector I'm in. I could care less about key hunting because you never know what's going to pop off,
No, and I think for me it's more the that book popped and I found it the next week. So that's a cool thing. But I try to read. I was away this weekend and I got the Dark Knight, like the reprint or something. I was going to read this while I was away because I really want to read this run because I have a couple of the issues, but I have the graphic, the novel there. I couldn't do it. I want to read them, but I just can't. So I don't have any runs of anything. So I cheers to you for doing that. So
what do you think, JP?
I like it.
It's way better than that shit you were using, huh?
Well, how are you going to insult the man's artistic abilities? Like,
you found a picture and put words on it.
Hey, that's all right.
Rohan, all right. Rohan did that. It wasn't me.
At least he tried, I mean, just think of all the people
JP just admitted he didn't try anything. It was Rohan.
Yeah, Rohan did.
I mean, like I said,
when I tried.
It goes back to saying you never know what's going to pop off. Imagine all the people sitting on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow stuff, and now all of a sudden, like, it's popping off, So
yeah,
they're sold out of it everywhere, and it's all going crazy. But I don't know. The first world collector problems, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's tough to keep up these movies. I don't know if they're going to move books or not. That's I guess we'll get into it with James Gunn, but I am disappointed.
You're disappointed?
Disappointed on 50-50 of it, I think.
Oh man, I think you're the first person I've heard say disappointed.
Well, because he spent a bunch of money on books and now they're not going to be worth shit.
All right, let's go ahead and
say it as it is.
Yeah,
just say it how it is, buddy.
Let's go ahead and get into it. Yes, we are starting off with the rebirth of the DC film universe.
The Rebirth.
DC Studios has revealed its full slate of movies and TV projects coming soon under the leadership of James Gunn and Peter Safran. The list includes 5 feature films and 5 television series for HBO Max, headlined by 2 Batman movies and a Man of Steel reboot, Superman Legacy in 2025, which is the only one of these movies in the lineup, the James Gunn lineup, that has a release date. The lineup includes some of the comic publishers' most recognizable and famous heroes and franchises, as well as some offbeat choices, which shouldn't surprise anyone familiar with James Gunn's resume, which include 2022's HBO show Peacemaker and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. So yes, we got the announcement of Superman, Legacy, Batman Brave and the Bold, Swamp Thing, Waller, Lanterns, The Authority, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Creature Commandos, Booster Gold, and Paradise Lost. That's a mouthful. DC Studios has refreshed its model following a multitude of leadership changes. Co-CEO Chairman Peter Safran said schedules for the upcoming movies and television slates will adjust as more new projects develop. So first of all, what did you see, or what did you think of this announcement of these?
Well, JP already gave a little sneak peek of how he feels about it. It's like, I just threw down hundreds of dollars on Lobo and there's no Lobo in there.
Well, the door to Lobo wasn't necessarily shut, but they do say that Peter Safran did say that these actors will not be playing multiple characters in this universe. So if you're playing one character, that's who you're playing. So basically, if they continue on having Jason Momoa play Aquaman, then he won't be playing Lobo until they're done with Aquaman completely.
And I heard that they're going to make an Aquaman 3. I don't know where I read that at or heard it at, but that's what
don't read too much into that yet, because I mean, you also have James Gunn calling The Flash the most, like, the best superhero movie he's ever seen. This is a guy who made Guardians of the Galaxy and all these Marvel movies, and he's calling The Flash, this dumpster fire of a movie that's been coming out for what feels like the last 10 years now, the best superhero movie he's ever seen.
Yeah, I don't.
Am I tripping balls, or is Clark Griswold standing in JP's room?
He is.
He is. So
I didn't have them for Christmas, so I brought them out for today.
He's staring at me, man.
On
He's staring
DC's
into
official
my
blog,
soul.
Safran and fellow studio lead James Gunn detailed their raft of plans for the rebooted DCU and many of the projects featured within this universe. According to Safran, their plans will be to unveil in chapters as they rebuild the DCU from scratch, which chapter 1 is called Gods and Monsters, insisting there will be more timeline flexibility as they introduce new movies and TV shows to their developing lineup. That we're starting with today is the first part of the first chapter in our universe, Safran said. That first chapter is called Gods and Monsters, as I just said. Many of the following projects are already being worked on, but we're remaining flexible, and they're going to adjust because we're never going to put a project into production before the script is right. So that's good, at least, I guess. They're saying that James Gunn's been on record as saying that the last regime, basically in kinder words, were led by a bunch of jokers who had no idea about these characters and no idea what they were doing, which we all already kind of knew.
Yeah, it seems like, just judging by some of the titles that he announced, that James Gunn has a little bit of knowledge about some more obscure lines, right?
Well, it's James Gunn he's steering into the curve of James Gunn. He's doing what's made him his money. He's steering into his bread and butter. He's taking obscure characters nobody knows a damn thing about, and he's trying to hit a home run right off the rip because, like I said, taking these, we've been saying it all along, taking the obscure characters nobody knows about and bring them to the big screen. Nobody really knew Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to since this news came out. They're like, who are the Creature Commandos? Who the hell is the Authority? And it's like, all right, so, you know, they don't know who these people are. And so it's like, you know, he's trying to hit that home run. And it's like I said, and I've been saying since James Gunn, we got the news that James Gunn was taking over. He said, I'm writing. So right now we know Creatures Commandos is done. It's going to be animated. That's done. He wrote it. And their whole shtick is to have the same people that voice the animation play these characters in real life. So that means
Weasel's supposed to be in it, right?
Weasel, yes. So
he's already come out and said Weasel's coming.
And Weasel's his brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, when we first got this news, I said they're going to come out hot. James Gunn is going to direct and write the first movie, and it's probably going to be Superman. Yes, it is Superman. He is writing it. He's probably going to end up directing it, but Henry Cavill is not part of it. So, of course, he's going to come out swinging by making sure his hand and his, you know, fingers are the first one to touch this universe.
Which is funny because you were saying how he's going into obscurity, and the first thing he's tackling is Superman.
Well, he's giving you a slow, a younger Superman, and I have my theories on this. Like, we'll get into it. I'll get into it a little bit. So my theory here is that he's writing that Superman legacy. The story is about Kal-El, about Superman, but I don't know necessarily that the movie is going to be about Clark Kent. I think it's going to be about the legacy of Superman in title. So I wouldn't be surprised if you look at another book you got sitting here in Batman Brave and the Bold, and the introduction of Damian Wayne. A lot of, you know, the talk was James Gunn wants to go younger. He wants to go younger. So he's going to cast younger people. Well, hold up. Brave and the Bold, if they're bringing Damian Wayne, who's Batman's son, you can't really go that much younger for Bruce Wayne. So even though it's not Ben Affleck, they're going to have to look for someone in his late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, around that kind of age gap for Batman. So if they're going younger, what if it's actually Jonathan Kent that Superman legacy is about, and it's a movie about him having to live up to the legacy of the title of Superman? Because remember, you're just speculating on a picture that James Gunn put up on the screen, and what he says it's going to be about, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to all be about Kal-El. So what if that focuses more a little bit on both him and Jonathan Kent and the legacy of being Superman in that title, and then spins off into Super Sons with Robin, and you kind of get all this stuff going on. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, I've seen one channel say that they think that Brainiac is going to be the big bad, the big Thanos level event that these are leading to.
They've been wanting to bring a decent Brainiac since Nick Cage movie.
Well, they said the Lanterns movie is supposed to be the help with the long. That's supposed to tell the story of what they want the overall direction to be, where this whole phase is going to go, or this first chapter. So I don't know if the Lanterns comes out before Superman Legacy or what, but I think that whatever direction that Lanterns is supposed to play a big role in that. They're all supposed to be connected, but that's supposed to be one that's going to be more
Lanterns. Lanterns is the one I'm looking most forward to, because it's Hal Jordan, Jonathan Stewart, and they're saying that it's going to be like a True Detective. Like if you ever watch HBO's True Detective, a True Detective type story set on Earth. So that gets me super excited for that. But part of me, like, though I can get behind the Brainiac theory and that there's this big bad there, part of me thinks, as a fan, I can't help but think, like, what's the biggest storyline in DC history that every time they need a reboot, every time something's going wrong, they fall back on? Can either of you tell me? Crisis, exactly. Yes. Crisis on Infinite Earths, Crisis on this, Crisis on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if their first big bad event is something like Crisis level. And part of me thinks that if you're trying to mimic Marvel and you want to go big bad, why would you go Brainiac? Why wouldn't you do like Doomsday? You know,
they did Doomsday.
They did do Doomsday in the Snyderverse. Yes, they did. But
and Darkseid was supposed to be part of it, and he wasn't
right. Mm-hmm.
Even in it until they did the Snyder cut, right?
But
so he could be the guy they bring in, right?
He could be, yeah. But
well, in Darkseid is kind of like the DC's version of Thanos, right?
Yes, essentially, yes.
But would that seem like they're too much trying to follow the Marvel world or Marvel storyline? And because they already brought Darkseid in, even though he wasn't really part of that initial cut with Josh Whedon, but they brought him into the Snyder cut, the 4-hour version. I don't know how many people saw it or if that's canon or not. I guess it doesn't matter at this point. But does James Gunn want to follow Marvel verbatim? Probably not. So
Joe Doolin said, "Wouldn't Flash be the mini Crisis as it's the movie that sets the reboot?" So if you remember Flashpoint in the comic books, what spawned out of Flashpoint? Because the Flashpoint's a story where, for anybody who doesn't know, Barry Allen goes back in time to try and save his mother, and everything that can go wrong does. It's like a Murphy's Law thing. That's when you get, Bruce Wayne's not Batman, it's Thomas Wayne, and so they used Flashpoint to spawn New 52, right? So it makes sense that they're going to use the Flash movie, which they're already saying is supposed to be based off Flashpoint, to spawn this new DCU. So,
and he kind of said in his little spiel that the Flash was going to be like the jumping point, right?
Well, yeah, it moves into Blue Beetle, which moves into Shazam, which moves into Aquaman. The official reset movie for the new for his officially led universe is Superman Legacy. That's the official jump on point. But that's just me. Like this slate right here, like I guess you could say Brainiac, because there's stuff, that Brainiac is part of in a lot of this, and he's part of Super Sons and stuff like that. But like, you got to remember, this a 10-year plan, and this is only the first chapter of it. So, I mean, and when I sit here and look at this, there's not a whole lot that jumps out at me that, I can kind of be like, pinpoint this, pinpoint that, pinpoint this, pinpoint that. So I'm probably way off base, but I'm just like thinking, like, what's that one event that is going to get everybody to come to the theaters? That's a comic book
Crisis.
fan, and it's Crisis.
I mean, the WB tried to, or CW or whatever the hell their name is, tried to revamp their whole Arrowverse by using Crisis.
Yeah.
That went over well, didn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people tuned in for that, but they didn't watch after it.
Yeah.
But the good thing that's exciting me about the new DC universe too, is that they don't have that Marvel PG-13 restriction. So we also got the announcement for Swamp Thing, and DC's upcoming Swamp Thing reboot wasted no time at all in finding a director, with James Mangold already reportedly eyed for the job. The director behind 2017's genre-bending superhero movie Logan is in discussions to direct and develop DC Universe's Swamp Thing reboot movie, reported THR. This news was foreshadowed yesterday when Mangold tweeted a piece of artwork by Swamp Thing co-creator Bernie Wrightson. Oh, my throat's dry. While fans took
What the hell?
this to mean that Mangold was merely interested in the project. It appears to have been a tease for an announcement. That news also follows the recent announcement that DC Studios' upcoming Chapter 1 phase of the film, new adaptation of the iconic character franchise. So remember, it's gods and monsters. So we have the creature commandos. They're all monsters. And then Swamp Thing can fall under that monster. So you're going to have Swamp Thing, a little horror in it. And I'd be cool. I'm so stoked if this goes hard R.
So do you think with Swamp Thing coming in and Batman also being announced in that Chapter 1 that Poison Ivy might be an antagonist during Chapter 1?
No, I don't know.
Because aren't Swamp Thing and Poison Ivy kind of closely associated with each other?
No, not really.
Because I thought,
anyways,
don't they have kind of like I'm trying to find something to compare.
They have
it
a
to.
similar like power set.
Yeah, but don't they both feed into kind of like the Flash has like the speed, or what do they call that thing? Like Speed Force, or what? Where he grabs his power from?
Oh yeah, the Speed Force.
The Speed Force. Doesn't Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing have a similar like thing that they pull their power from?
No.
They talked about it in the Harley Quinn show.
Yeah, but I mean, the Harley, you can't, that's loosely based. You can't really pull off that. Like Swamp Thing, it depends, because Swamp Thing's been rewritten. His origin's been rewritten so many times. Like,
yeah,
his original origin was that he was a scientist that turned into this monster. And then Alan Moore, when Alan Moore did his run, he changed it to where it's nature with a human consciousness, basically, who absorbs a human consciousness, and then that's how you get Swamp Thing. So I don't think there's any Speed Force like. Yes, I agree. Swamp Thing can lead into Dark Justice League, so you could get like John Constantine showing up, you could get Deadman showing up, you could get Zatanna, you could get so many Dark Justice League members that spawn out through that character. And James Mangold, I mean, they're already setting the stage to try and hit that home run,
They call it, so this is from 2019. The plant-based characters Swamp Thing and Poison Ivy both draw their powers from the Green, one of the most mysterious and important forces in the DCU.
When was that? When did they bring in the Green?
I don't know.
The Gauntja. The
Green.
Green.
I mean, I don't know. I just know a lot about, as far as Poison Ivy's backstory. I just know that, her power set is plants. I'm not that up on Poison Ivy or Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is not one of my favorite characters. So I'm not into like those plant-based.
Plant-based.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat
I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegan
burger.
Superhero fan, man.
Maybe
so
he ate an Impossible
it,
burger and became Swamp Thing.
They talk about the Green in Swamp Thing number 47, 1986.
There you go. That's why I don't read Swamp Thing. So
Did you guys see the original Swamp Thing movie?
I used to watch the old TV show.
No, the movie that came out in the 80s
No.
with Adrienne Barbeau, I think is her name.
Mm-mm.
You guys should watch that. That's the first time I saw it, and it was the scientist who had a bad experiment and turned into the Swamp Thing. And as a, 5 or 8 year old when it came out, it was quite horrific. The other monsters that came out of that chemical reaction and whatnot. It was kind of a interesting movie. I had many nightmares of that, of the characters, the other characters.
Wasn't the show kind of good? I haven't seen it. The show that this poster is based on.
The most recent HBO Max show.
Yeah, wasn't it kind of like people said
it wasn't terrible?
Good?
Like I watched the first few episodes and I kind of fell off of it. Once I heard it was canceled, I kind of stopped watching because I knew you weren't going to get any payoff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm just going to stop right here. But I'm not that versed on Swamp Thing, so I'm just excited about like the horror aspect of that. It opens up, and
I agree. And hopefully it's like more horror than Doctor Strange was.
You guys have seen Escape from New York?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Remember the girl in that movie, the dark-haired girl, Adrienne? Mm-hmm. That's Adrienne Barbeau, right? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in Swamp Thing. So if you guys get a chance, watch that. That's probably the most closely related to what the movie will be. And it actually was pretty good for its time. So
I remember seeing it.
I watched
it was decent. It wasn't,
it was good.
A throwaway.
He got his arm cut off, and then he had to put his arm up to the light, and his arm started to grow back with like a twig came out, and then his arm grew back in. He got captured, and they cut off his arm, and just the light made his arm grow back. It was a pretty cool scene. So
because like
Wes Craven's Swamp Thing
from the 80s.
1982.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
I was ahead of my time watching Wes Craven back then. Look at me go.
Poster on it. The poster for it's pretty sick too.
The Swamp Thing annual #1 is a pretty sweet cover that shows Adrienne Barbeau. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And the Swamp Thing. It's a remake. The cover is a remake of this. It came after the movie, so that was their tribute to the movie or homage to the movie, which I've been looking for that one recently. So.
Just Doing says, I'm hoping 100% wrong, but I have a feeling Warner will not have patience and be late 2025. We'll hear James Gunn say he'll never touch comic movies again. I don't think that's the case. I think because they're trying to really do, I think it's at least 2 or 3 movies every year. Or movies and TV shows a year. So I think like if the Creature Commandos is already ready to go and they're just animating it, then I don't think that's too far off.
I think 2025 is respectable because if you think about it, we're in 2023. They've got 4 movies releasing this year, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically a year of no DC. Not to mention, in that year, they're still going to keep Harley Quinn going. They're still, you also get the Batman Elseworld stuff. You got Joker. So it's not like there's going to be a lack of DC content.
Yeah. And that's what we failed to mention too, is that the Batman 2 is still happening. The Joker 2 is still happening. Teen Titans Go, that's all considered falling under their Elseworld tales. So that's all stuff that's separate. So you're going to have 2, and they're, so they can do whatever they want with those stories. And they don't have to play into the overarching story or narrative of what James Gunn's trying to build. They can
I love that idea,
though,
of clearly identifying it as a standalone product, because he said it's going to be clearly labeled as an Elseworlds tale, which I love that, because then I think you can tell that James Gunn understands what he's doing because he's trying to limit consumer confusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some Joe Schmo comes in, he's like Batman, and he's like, then he comes back and sees Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's a totally different dude in a different, different feel and everything like that. That lame consumers, and lame meaning that, more ignorant when it comes to these kind of things, may not realize that they're in different universes. But by clearly identifying that, I think the other thing too is that his movie should have their very own clear intro. You remember for years, like when they had the Marvel stuff and the Marvel Studio stuff, like they had different intros,
Mm-hmm.
and you could kind of tell what was part of Marvel and what wasn't.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
Amazing
Marvel
Spider-Man.
Studios always been that like flipping comic book pages and stuff like that. Now they changed it to like the different shots from different products in the logo. And I really like that.
Yeah.
So,
superhero fatigue.
Yes. I like how you put the Eternals in there. James Gunn, co-architect of the new DC universe, is fully aware of the comic book fatigue and comic book films flooding movie theaters, but he also believes that superhero fatigue can be fought. I think it's real, Gunn told the New York Times when asked about fatigue resulting from DC and Marvel cinematic universes. You have to make stories diverse and different. Good guys, bad guys, giant things in the sky. Good guys win. You can't tell that story again. You need to tell stories that are more, morally complex.
Now you understand why I picked the Eternals?
Yes.
Because he says, good guy, bad guy, giant thing in the sky, good guys win. That's essentially the plot of the Eternals.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Marvel's trying to do that. They tried to do it with She-Hulk. They tried to do it with Moon Knight. They've kind of fallen flat on their face several times.
Well,
trying
sadly,
to make it different.
I mean, sadly, the most complex, morally complex character we got was really Thanos and Killmonger.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
I
like
think
those are
you're
the
gonna
two
have
morally complex characters we've had in the MCU so far.
And they had an opportunity with Gore
That they failed on.
And you could kind of see it going in that direction of morally complex, right? And then they totally screwed the pooch on it.
So who did DC have that's morally complex? Joker?
No, well, a
Lex
lot of the
Luthor.
DC stuff is just kind of centered in that moral complexity. Like, yeah, a lot of their villains are morally complex. A lot of their even heroes are morally complex. Look at Batman. Batman's very morally complex. Damian Wayne is very morally complex. Because
that's why Superman sticks out like a sore thumb, because he's
you have Damian Wayne, who was born and bred to be an assassin and kill people, and then he gets teamed up with Batman, whose whole thing is not killing people. So it's like you've got that moral complexity, basically building that character of Damian Wayne of do you kill, do you not kill, how do you restrain yourself, and things like that. Like there's a lot of Deathstroke is morally complex. There's a lot of very morally complex characters in DC. That's kind of where they've made their bread and butter.
I don't think you could say Joker is morally complex. He's just insane.
But he has a different take to him than any other Marvel character that I can think of. I'm sure there's somebody in Marvel, but no one they put in movies. But the Heath Ledger version and the Joaquin Phoenix version are they might not be morally complex, but they're complex. They're
Joker is a very complex character because there's so many facets of it to him.
But
like
not morally.
Yeah,
not morally.
You haven't. We know his name, or we suspect his name is Jack White now, and you don't know much about Joker except for kind of without Batman, you can't. Him and Batman go hand in hand. They're like yin and yang. You can't really have one without the other. So
would you kind of say like maybe Marvel's version of the Joker is like Carnage?
I don't know. I think maybe
no.
The insanity side, or Green Goblin?
I think it would be more like Green Goblin. Yeah, I think Green Goblin is more considered Marvel's version of the Joker,
which is funny because Green Goblin is one of the best Marvel villains ever, and all indication is pointing at there. Yeah, Green Goblin is awesome, but all indication is pointing that Norman Osborn doesn't even exist in the MCU.
Yeah.
Why?
It just seems like a loss.
Why did he not exist? He was in the other.
Well, they don't have. There's no such thing as Oscorp, because they reference that in No Way Home, right? Oscorp.
Yeah.
we haven't seen the. I mean, how many times have we seen the New York skyline that they haven't even teased us with an Oscorp sighting?
Well, it could be just because the Sony verse doesn't help that out. Maybe there's some.
I agree with Joe's dueling there on that one. Doctor Doom is the best Marvel villain.
Oh, I agree. I didn't say Green Goblin was the best, but I'm saying he's one of the best. But we're definitely going to get Doctor Doom. You can't have Fantastic Four without Doctor Doom. Spider-Man has a rogues gallery as big as Batman's. There's many characters you can do in Spider-Man. But Fantastic Four without Doctor Doom just seems silly, doesn't it?
Yes.
It does, but they've already done it twice. So I want to see Doctor Doom pretty bad. And this whole Kang thing with the MCU is someone we haven't seen, so it's kind of cool in that regard. Doom should be in with Fantastic Four, but he's been done twice before. So
after playing Jason Todd for 3 seasons on Titans, Kern Walters wants to play Damian Wayne in the DC Universe's upcoming Brave and the Bold film. Responding to discussions, film tweets regarding the announcement of the Brave and the Bold, which will introduce the DCU's new Batman, Damian Wayne, and other members of the Bat family. Walters tweets, "I'm a phone call away." The actor previously played Jason Todd /Robin/Red Hood on the recently canceled Titans, but also briefly appears as the character on CW's Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow during the Arrowverse's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event. I'm good.
I think that they have an opportunity to kind of do something with Damian Wayne, like maybe making Ra's al Ghul and Talia. Is it Talia? Is Damian Lee's mother?
Cool.
Yeah. Maybe making them a different ethnicity other than white. So you could potentially have like Damian Wayne as like an Asian American kid or something like that. Because who would care about race bending that one a little bit?
Why would he be Asian? Isn't he? He's
well,
Batman's
because no, like half. But like
okay.
Ra's al Ghul and stuff, like you could make them kind of like not Mongolian or something like that, but like from a different country, right?
Damian Wong.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just think that you have the opportunity to take a character that maybe is not super well known outside of comic book circles and maybe make Ra's al Ghul and Talia not white.
Well, who have they taken recently and made and did a race bend? Anybody?
Tim Drake and Titans.
In the comics, has anyone recently? Because wasn't Nick Fury changed prior to him coming out in Iron Man?
So, Nick Fury was white in 616, and then he was black in Ultimate Universe, in Ultimate Comics.
And that's the one they used for. Obviously, they used for him
for the MCU. Yeah,
but that's.
Well, I thought they changed him. I thought they changed him to be black because of Samuel L. Jackson.
No, he was.
It came before.
He was black in the Ultimate Comics first. Yeah, way before.
Yeah, so most of the stuff that happened,
and they already tried to swing and a miss with a Nick Fury movie, and it had David Hasselhoff in it. So,
but we are getting a Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury led TV show.
Yeah, Secret War or Secret Invasion.
But that was a character who was well known to be white, was changed prior in the comics. I'm not sure what how well that sold given the change, but then used in the 616 for the whatever you want to call the MCU, and it worked because it was Samuel Jackson.
I don't know if I'd really call that race bending though, because you had 2 different versions of the character to choose from, and you chose to go to I guess diversity. You chose to go with the racially diverse character versus the plain old
right. But
white.
the recent change was the one they used, and so that's what I'm wondering: is DC have anyone they recently did a multiverse change to use?
Yeah,
I also heard that they're gonna.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say the one that comes to mind for me is Jason Todd and Titans. They're not Jason Todd, but Tim Drake and Titans.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's the one though. Maybe that's eventually what they'll do. But I also heard that there is going to be the the DC universe, and then there's going to be it's called something specific,
Elseworlds,
and they're gonna have the Black Superman for that Elseworlds.
So yeah,
the
they are developing a Black Superman movie for the Elseworld stuff, yes. But there's a Black Superman in the comics too, so
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. They're going to take that one, but make it Elseworlds. I don't know why, but I guess we'll find out someday. I get the multiverse stuff, but
yes, Cardi, I forgot about Batwoman. You are correct. They did make Batwoman a Black woman also.
in the movie, right?
Batgirl in the movie, yes, but Batwoman in the CW show. And Catwoman, yes.
Yeah. Well, in 2 shows, right? Halle Berry
And Wonder Man. They're doing it to Wonder Man too. You're correct, Lopez. I forgot about Wonder Man.
Which there's somebody who could play Wonder Man now that they could get Henry Cavill to play that. He'd be a perfect Wonder Man, but since they already cast it, it's too late, right? Since he isn't going to be Superman, he could be a perfect Wonder Man.
I'm sure Marvel's got Henry Cavill for something. They've had discussions before. So I'm looking at
Doom.
I'm looking at the history of Ra's al Ghul, and he was born to a race. I don't know why I always say race. He was born to a tribe of Chinese nomads.
Well, think about the Batman.
Africa.
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins. It's Liam Neeson.
Right, but the whole movie I thought it was the other guy because he sounded like he was the guy from Mongolia, right? The guy who was supposed to.
I know what you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah,
that's why I'm thinking you can make Damian Lee an Asian American kid, right?
Especially the last name Lee.
Oh, Damian Lee. Bruce
Wayne?
or Damian Wayne.
Damian
Who's
Wang.
Lee?
Wang.
Who's
Wang.
Lee? Why am I saying Damian Lee? Who is that?
Bruce
I don't know.
Lee. I don't know. I don't know what you're.
Damian Lee.
I don't know what's in your pop.
But I don't think it's far fetched to make him, especially in the effort of trying to make all these properties diverse and stuff. Seems like an easy one to do.
I just think if you did it in the comic, do it in the movie. Don't change the movie and then have to redo but whatever, they can do.
But I mean, this right here is telling me that he's Asian.
I would assume he would be, but I think the Liam Neeson thing was a different take on it. So again, that's part of my issue with redoing the Trinity again, is you can go a completely different direction and grab B and C characters that have the diversity already and not have to revamp stuff.
It would make more sense to make him Arabic, since Ra's al Ghul's name is an Arabic translation of Head of the Ghoul. So it would make more sense if he was mixed with Arabic.
Yeah, I'm saying anything. I don't care. You know why I keep saying Damian Lee? It's a player on the Suns, and before the show started, I was watching the Suns game. So I was like, I know I didn't make that up.
And plus, if you look in the comics too, sometimes Damian Wayne does have a little bit darker skin than Bruce. So who knows? He could be. Who knows what they're going to do with that?
Well, I guess the point I was trying to make was, if they go that route, then this dude is not the
right person.
The right person is the point I was trying to make, and we kind of went off on a tangent a little bit.
Damn you guys.
Yeah. DC Studios bosses James Gunn and Pete Safran have revealed a number of projects that will make up the first chapter of their DC universe. And since the duo's full 2 chapter plan for the DCU spanned 8 to 10 years, the studio is looking for actors who will be in for the long haul. According to Jeff Snead of Above the Line, because of Gunn and Safran's 8 to 10 year plan, talent is being asked to sign 10-year deals that cover both films and television. So, barring any extraordinary circumstances, the DCU's major characters likely won't be recast for at least a decade. While it's certainly not uncommon for actors to be asked to sign multi-year deals, Marvel does it all the time, when joining major franchises, fans should find this development interesting, given the fact that the certain characters featured in the old DC extended universe are being recast for the new DCU. The abrupt departure of Henry Cavill as Superman.
I think the biggest thing you can take away from this is the fact that he says television and TV. Because one thing he said in his announcement was a majority of the time these animated characters are going to be voiced by the actors that play them in real life, which has been kind of which I took it as kind of a slight towards Marvel for having What If and very rarely ever having the actor that plays him in live action, plays these people in live action, voice the characters.
Well, I mean, if you look at What If, a lot of them did voice their characters. I think honestly, the only people who didn't voice their characters in What If were Spider-Man and Black Widow.
Man.
Well, and
and Iron Man.
Yeah, which Iron Man was the most recognizable that it wasn't Robert Downey Jr., in my opinion. The kid that played Peter Parker sounded like Tom Holland. But Black Widow was done by... and Chris Evans did not, too.
Right.
And was Chris Pratt Star-Lord in that small little cameo?
I can't remember.
They can't even get Chris Pratt to do... In the Disney commercial for the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, they have Chris Pratt. His face is covered and he doesn't say anything. It's just Rocket Raccoon, who's Bradley Cooper, in that commercial. Have you ever seen what I'm talking about? The commercial for the ride.
Yeah.
So he couldn't even do that.
Probably because
Chris Pratt. He's too busy doing goddamn Super Mario Brothers. It's a Mario.
By the way, everybody in that movie sounds amazing. Did you watch the new trailer with Donkey Kong?
Yeah, I don't like Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
It still sounds better than Chris Pratt.
It's just Seth Rogen playing Seth Rogen voice in Donkey Kong. So. Yeah, but
I just thought that part was interesting. That it sounds like they're going to put in the contract, like, you're going to have to do these movies and the TV shows and the cartoons so that there's more cohesiveness between the two, or between the three, I guess you could say.
I like that.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Lance.
I just said, yeah.
Oh, and even more James Gunn news. James Gunn confirmed Ben Affleck's time as Batman in the Cape and Cowl is finished, but the actor may remain part of the DC universe as the director. This is the introduction of the DCU's Batman. Gunn informed DC.com. It is not Robert Pattinson. It is not Ben Affleck. We're working with Robert on the Batman Part 2 with Matt Reeves, and we're working with Ben Affleck, who has been part of our team, trying to bring together. He really wanted to direct one of our projects. We're excited for him to do that. Fans of Pattinson's iteration can breathe easy knowing that the Caped Crusader will carry on under the DC Elseworlds banner with the Batman in 2025. So peep this. Batman 2025, you have Superman,
Batman
the
2.
Batman 2, all going up against Kang Dynasty. You have Avengers Kang Dynasty dropping that year, the Batman Part 2 dropping that year, and Superman dropping that year.
It's going to be a huge year for comic book movies. It's going to be huge. This is what should have been, wasn't it Justice League, Avengers, and Captain Marvel that all came out the same year?
I can't remember.
And 2 of the 3 were duds.
I want Ben Affleck to direct Booster Gold. Just throw it out there.
And I want Chris Pratt to play Booster Gold.
I don't want Chris Pratt to play Booster Gold, but
I think he's gonna play
I have a feeling he's going to, though. Like, I really do have a feeling he's going to.
I feel like Warner Brothers completely screwed the pooch on this whole Ben Affleck thing.
What is Batman?
He could have been awesome. And all we got to see were just little like, he didn't even get his own movie. It just seems such a waste of... Ben Affleck is talented, man.
I would love him to be the Batman in The Brave and the Bold. Like, it would be awesome, but I don't know how much Ben wants to do it. Ben looks like he wants to sit back, smoke darts, and play the bongos on J-Lo's ass. He doesn't really look interested in trying to get into shape to play Batman anymore. So he just wants to burn sticks and make the occasional appearance in Kevin Smith movies, you know?
So we're always saying Henry Cavill to Marvel, Henry Cavill to Marvel. What would you guys, if Ben Affleck made the jump to Marvel, where could you put him?
Daredevil.
There is a
Already
rumor I
been there,
heard
done
that,
that.
there is a rumor I heard that he may reprise that for
the multiverse.
the multiverse stuff.
That'd be interesting. I don't think he needs to go to the MCU. If he directs a DCU movie, I think that'd be pretty cool. But I liked his portrayal.
I think he's a
of
phenomenal
Batman.
actor.
I agree, and I think he did a great job with the Batman. That was the Dark Knight Batman that I would have wanted. You know, it's most closely resembled that miniseries from '86 from
Lopez.
Frank Miller.
Ben Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Argo. He was
Gone
amazing in
Girl.
Gone Girl. He was amazing in what's the other one he directed?
Dogma.
He was amazing in
Hunting.
Dogma as
Hunting.
Bartleby. Yes.
Not Live by
Good Will
Night.
Hunting.
What's the other one? The Town.
The Town, yes.
That was a
The
good
Town
movie.
was fucking awesome. Yeah, so Ben Affleck is a good actor. Oh, he did that one where he's a basketball coach, the alcoholic. That was really
That was a
good.
good one.
Hoosiers?
Was he in Hoosiers?
No, it's not Hoosiers. I'm just kidding.
I think Ben Affleck's a good actor. It's certain things that he's good at and other things that maybe he's not. He used to be a laughingstock. If you remember.
Yeah.
Like after what's the one he did with Matt Damon
Geely.
and Robin Williams?
Good Will
No,
Hunting.
after Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. Yeah, he did a string of projects that just were kind of laughable, right? Where Matt Damon was getting all these
Reindeer
accolades.
Games.
Matt Damon was getting all these accolades, and Ben Affleck was just kind of laughable. Then Argo came out, or The Town, which one of those two, and
I think The
he
Town came
started
out
doing the Town come out first. He started doing all these projects after that, and he fucking killed it. I don't think I've seen one bad thing with Ben Affleck besides the fucking DC stuff since The Town came out.
Lopez, you're starting to lose my favor, sir. He was not garbage in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He was not garbage in Dogma. He was not garbage in Phantoms. he's done a lot of good movies.
The only
Yes,
bad
yes.
movie he had was Geely or something with J-Lo, right?
Yes.
I didn't think
No, he's
He's had a few bad ones, yes.
Reindeer
Yeah.
Games was good. I liked
Reindeer
Reindeer
Games
Games.
was good, yeah.
I can't think of anything else he was in that was bad.
He's done some bad ones. Well, Daredevil.
If he,
Pearl Harbor was not that great.
oh my gosh, it was good.
No,
Oh my
it
gosh.
wasn't. It was
Make
not.
those Yinzers proud.
Pearl Harbor is largely considered.
JP's hitting that Yinzer bingo card tonight. Oh my gosh.
Ba-boom.
He talked about
Oh my
the Steelers. You know,
I need
he's-
one more. I need two more to
yeah.
have a bullseye, or what do you call it? Tic-tac-toe or whatever it is.
Pearl
Bingo.
Harbor is largely considered to be kind of Josh Hartnett's downfall. Pearl Harbor, if you remember, did not perform that great in the box office either.
Damn,
So
that
Josh
was a good
Hartnett
one.
fell down on that one.
Yeah, let me
I don't
see
know.
what we got. So, what was the one I said? The Town. So I'm gonna look before The Town. Damn it! IMDb changed their whole fucking site up, and now it's confusing as shit.
The chat's just going off, making these just awesomely funny Jeremy Renner jokes.
So let's see. Smoking Aces, Hollywood Land, which was the Superman George Reeves one. A Man About Town, Surviving Christmas. Jersey Girl kind of fell flat too, right? I know it's
love
Kevin
Jersey
Smith.
Girl.
I like Jersey Girl, but Jersey Girl is not considered a good movie by the masses.
No, it wasn't, but I love Jersey Girl.
Paycheck, which flopped. Geely, Daredevil, Changing Lanes.
The Accountant.
The Sum of All Fears is largely considered one of the worst Jack Ryan movies ever made. Let's see, Pearl Harbor. Reindeer Games was good. Dogma was good. Forces of Nature.
Yikes.
200 Cigarettes, which I don't even know what the fuck that is. But
Told you,
now,
it's like his life's work, just smoking darts. All right. That's-
but now he
I mean-
has The Town, Argo, Gone Girl, Runner. Let's see. Then he had a whole bunch of shitty DC movies. The Accountant was fucking awesome.
How were his part in the DC movies was not shitty. Neither was Cavill's.
No,
Neither was Gal Gadot. So it was.
yeah, it wasn't
The
because of
writing-
him.
Right. But like that like I don't consider those movies. They might have flopped in the theater and monetarily, but I just think they were good comic book movies.
He
but
just
they weren't-
chose. He just got in those movies. He should have saw that they were going to be bad movies based on writing, because the writing alone, like we're all witness to it. The writing alone makes those bad movies.
Yeah.
But he did the best of what he was given. Like that scene
He's the
when
best
he's
part of Batman, Superman. Like,
yeah, hands down. Is it Batman Superman? The first time you see him, he's up in the corner and he pounces at
Yeah.
those two cops. It's fucking
Mhm.
awesome, dude. When you see him in the corner, just like, and he pounces on those guys, it's one of the fucking coolest scenes.
Oh yeah, that whole beat up scene when he goes to save Martha Kent, and that was an awesome scene. He just pummeled those dudes.
his time of Batman is just 100%. He was the
Dark
victim
Lopez,
of shit writing.
The Accountant was fucking awesome, dude. I
All
don't
right,
give it-
I'm moving on. I'm not going to argue about Batman or about Ben Affleck anymore.
Yeah, you guys love him too much.
As the DC Universe develops its upcoming Booster Gold series for HBO Max, Top Gun star or Maverick star Glenn Powell indicates his interest in playing the tutorial superhero. Speaking with Entertainment Tonight about the possibility of playing Booster Gold in the DCU, Powell indicated his fascination with the time-traveling hero while addressing speculation of him playing Cyclops or Hal Jordan at some point. A bunch of my friends from Texas are like, is it true? Are you playing Cyclops? Are you playing Booster Gold? He said, I've actually looked up some of these characters. I'm not a real comic book guy. I've watched all these superhero movies for DC and Marvel. I'm a fan.
I see it.
Yeah, I could see him playing Booster Gold based off his character, what he did with Maverick, but
I think he would actually make a pretty decent Cyclops.
Booster Gold is an interesting character too, because he's not like your most characters. Like he's kind of like that.
Isn't he a time traveler? Doesn't he?
Yeah,
come
he's kind
back
of like
in
that.
time?
I would call him like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of call him like that lovable loser from the future who actually comes back in time with tech to be able to be because he wants to be a superhero. So he comes back in time to be a superhero. And then all of his little hijinks, he seems to be very well. I see a lot of people screaming for Booster Gold. Like was never really, again, Booster Gold's another character that I was never really on my radar. But
the writing, like a Peacemaker, could make that a fun TV show to watch.
oh, absolutely.
And if they bring the
absolutely.
Blue Beetle into it, which they're all, apparently Booster Gold sort of was a bad cop, good cop with Blue Beetle, but that was the Ted Kord Blue Beetle. So
Joe's Dilla said, "What smooth brain would want to be?"
Out of all the X-Men characters, I agree. Cyclops is not a character. He doesn't seem that fun to play, but I don't think he would do a bad job.
No, I don't think you would either.
And someone's got to play it. Someone has to play Cyclops.
well, how
Can't
tall
be-
is this guy? Because he could play Logan too. They're gonna recast.
I
him.
really do think Taron Egerton has got that squared up.
Yeah, I do too.
Remember when I used to-
I think you're gonna see it in Deadpool 3.
Do you remember when I was screaming at the rooftops, Taron Egerton, and all I got was shit from Max, Matt, and Kyle?
Yeah.
All I got was shit, dude. I said, you see, you watch. It was right after Eddie the Eagle came out. And I saw the two of them on the screen together. Taron Egerton and Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, I mean,
Not
huge-
Heath Ledger,
huge
Jackman.
jacked man.
like Damian Lee.
Man. Yeah. Which I need to see if the Suns won that game because Celtics are coming back up.
Finally moving away, we're gonna do some lightning news stories where they're just news stories that we're bringing to your attention real quick. Little conversation, not as in depth as the DC stuff, but Will Smith has survived Slapgate as Will Smith and Martin Lawrence will once again ride together and do their best not to die together in battle as the successful Bad Boys film franchise returns with Bad Boys 4. Super excited for this because I am a fan of the Bad Boys movies.
They need to call it Bad Boys Till Death
What? It just had Bad Boys for life.
because it
implies
could be
till
the
death.
whole thing that closes it out. It sounds like a good finale title.
Look at the picture of the movie picture than the actual screenshot.
They're wearing the same clothes.
Yeah,
Same clothes, but they look 10 times older.
I love
They
Bad Boys
airbrushed.
for Life, dude. Bad Boys for Life was a great.
You know, I
movie.
still haven't seen it.
I love Bad Boys for Life. Such a
Martin
good movie.
Lawrence on the right looks like he's holding in a shit.
Yes, he does. He's definitely put on.
And Will Smith is like, man, is that smell coming from you?
My face hurts. Did someone slap me?
He's like, man, that's getting right up in my nostrils.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Lopez. I don't want to ruin it for Lance, but I kind of agree with you.
I haven't watched it yet. I've
But-
been meaning to, but I haven't watched it.
If you're a Bad Boys fan, let us know in the comment section below if you're looking forward to Bad Boys 4 or if you think Bad Boys 3 should have just been the end of it.
I'm a bad girl.
Did what's his face direct this one? That directed the first two?
Joe Dillon says, "Why do I have a feeling that Cuck Smith is ponying up money to produce that movie?" No, Mr. Explosions himself, Michael Bay, is not directing this movie.
Did he direct the third one?
No, the directors of the third movie are doing the fourth one, but no, it was not.
But he did the first two, right?
He did the first two, yeah.
And you would say the third one's the best one?
I love two. Well, they're all good to me. Like I love 1, 2, and 3. Like I think 3 was actually really, really good, but I love all 3 movies.
I'm just tired of Michael Bay, man. Tired of him.
I don't care. Will Smith can slap people all he wants on stage. I'll go see him in theaters. Like,
is it true that he's getting? Well, I guess not now because Emancipation came out last year or this year.
No, that's this year, I think.
Is it true that he's getting Oscar buzz for that?
He won't be there. So
he won't be there. Like, how would you handle that?
Something tells me he won't win.
Aren't they going to give it to Brendan Fraser anyway for The Whale?
I think.
Yeah, that's why I was
Brendan
asking
Fraser's
because
gonna get it.
the nominations already came out and Brendan Fraser was on there. He better win. The only reason he didn't win, was it a Golden Globe or SAG award or something like that? He went to the dude that played Elvis. Was Brendan Fraser swore off that whole award ceremony because he accused the guy that runs it of sexual harassment.
Right.
Brendan Fraser should win it for the Whale.
Dude, he is so fucking. And you're right, dude. That's a tough movie to watch.
It is.
That was tough. Max and I are both sitting in the theater crying.
It's an emotional gut punch.
It's only in the theaters. Is it on?
No,
I'm sure it'll be out
yet.
soon. I'm sure it'll be out soon.
Did you guys see A Man Called Otto? A Man Named Otto?
I've not seen that yet. My wife wants to see it, and I was kind of like, meh.
Yeah,
I hear the trailer makes it seem very funny, but it's not funny.
It's not. It's funny, but it's
very deep.
It's rough. It's rough to watch. Rough to watch. But good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't seen The Whale, but I don't like to go to movies like that. I prefer to see people get beat up, like Endgame type movies. So
Well,
I got
this
talk
is-
to
you
the
just-
stand.
The Whale, dude, you see people get beat up. Well, one guy in particular.
Yeah,
Right, but I don't
like,
like movies. I don't go to movies
mentally.
to cry.
You see Brendan Fraser emotionally beat himself up. So
Yeah, it's a fucked up movie, dude, but it is so well written. It is so well acted. Everybody in that movie is really good. Sadie Sink, dude, has the potential to become a
yeah,
really
dude,
big
watch out
star.
for her. I'd say about 2 more years and she's gonna explode.
She's gonna have a bigger career than the chick that
Wolfhard
plays 11.
or even Millie Bobby Brown. Would you really consider her to have a big career? Because her biggest
she's on all the tabloids and shit. Like she's a hot
but her big
thing right
screen
now.
debut was that fucking Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I
Was
guess
it King of the Monsters.
she
or
had a
something
lot
like
of
that?
success with Enola Holmes, but I guess that's Netflix.
Yeah, but that's Netflix too. Like, I think watch out for Sadie, man. I think she's gonna blow up, and I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up as your MCU's either Jean Grey or Mary Jane Watson.
I would love that. She's like 22 as well, so she could.
Yeah, she's in her 20s. Yeah,
she could play alongside Tom Holland. I'm perfectly.
the
okay with
dude that plays Lucas is still my go-to for Miles Morales. So,
you lost me on that one.
you're crazy.
I don't think he's a good actor at all. Yeah,
But
I don't know.
you know who would have been perfect Miles Morales and now is way too old to play it? The kid from
Steve
Everybody
Urkel.
Hates Chris.
oh yeah,
Back when he was younger.
Steve Urkel. Anyways, moving on. And one that's near and dear to my heart, King of the Hill can officially rejoice as the animated series officially receives a revival from Hulu with creator Mike Judge and Greg Daniels and 5 of the original voice cast making a return.
Only
Because
5?
Yeah.
Who does it say?
While rumors of the King of the Hill revival have swirled for years, the Hollywood Reporter shared today that Hulu ordered a straight-to-series order with Mike Judge and Greg Daniels returning to executive produce the cartoon alongside showrunner Sheldon Patterson, ABC's The Wonder Years, in addition to the return of the creators' original voice cast members, Kathy, I'm going to butcher that, but she's coming to Phoenix Comic-Con, Najimy, Peggy Hill, Stephen Root, Bill Dauterive, Buck Strickland, Pamela Aldon, Bobby Hill, Johnny Hardwick, Dale Gribble, and Lauren Thomas, Ming Supanusaphone.
What?
Yeah. And Khan Supanusaphone Jr. are all making their triumphant return. Mike Judge does Hank Hill, so of course he's going to be in it.
Well, Brittany Murphy passed away.
Brittany Murphy passed away, who was Luann. Also, Tom Petty, who was Lucky, passed away. So Tom Petty's not going to be there. So a lot of these voice actors, much like The Simpsons, voiced multiple characters. So
who plays? Okay, so you have the Native American kid.
Joseph.
Is that Joseph?
Yeah.
I don't see his name on here. Do I? And then his dad is not on here.
Khan Supanusaphone.
Quite the name. That has to be made up.
But that's the
He's
Asian
Laotian.
family.
What did you call him?
The Asian family.
They're Laotian.
Laotian? I don't know, dude. They are?
Yeah.
I always thought they were from like China or something.
No, they're from Laos.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But like, I think Mike Judge voices Hank Hill and Boomhauer. So,
it's interesting.
But it seems like the whole family, the I don't know, I don't remember their names. You just said one. What's his name? Bobby's friend.
Oh, Joseph?
Yeah. I don't see any of that family's names on this list.
Yeah, I mean, they either haven't signed on yet or they're going to recast him. So,
and is Bobby going to be older, or is it going to be No Time Has Passed? Because I remember
there's a lot of people are speculating that it's gonna be older Bobby. You're gonna see all these characters aged up, so it's gonna be older Bobby Hill, and a lot of these characters are gonna be older. But I don't know until it comes out. But to answer your question, Lopez, 2010. 2010 was when the last
it's
episode.
Been 13 years.
Yep.
I saw another one that Futurama got a full series order too.
Yep, sure did. But for the third time.
And Beavis and Butthead are on.
That's my purse. I don't know you. That's the best. That's a great episode, Joe. Yes, Beavis and Butthead are on Paramount Plus, and the revival was fantastic.
Am I crazy when I say that I'd rather watch Futurama over The Simpsons?
Yes.
Extremely.
I'd rather watch King of the Hill over The Simpsons or Family Guy, personally.
Family Guy lost me years ago.
Yeah.
But Futurama to me was dude, every episode was fucking hilarious.
You know what?
The Simpsons hasn't been on top for a long time, I feel.
You know what show I just refound that I forgot about for years, and when we were doing an episode of SNS Cartoon Wars, I put in there, and I was like, I forgot all about the show. The Critic with John Lovitz.
Yep.
I went back and rewatched the pilot for that episode, for that series. Oh my God, it's so good. It makes me want to try and find the entire series.
John Lovitz is hysterical, dude. That dude doesn't get enough love.
But
well, that is the end of our geek news.
Yes, it is. Now we're going to go right into talking about The Last of Us. So we're going to end the show tonight speaking on The Last of Us. JP, are you still hanging in with The Last of Us?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm up to the most recent show.
Episode 1, I was kind of like, meh. Episode 2, I was fully on board. Like, let's go. Episode 3, they changed a lot, but I still really enjoyed that episode.
I've seen several like reviews calling it one of the best episodes of television ever made.
That it definitely is not. But
I had a very hard time watching that one.
I'm trying to figure out what I missed because I'm seeing people. Is it just because of the progressiveness of it is why people are saying that?
No, because you cared about the characters at the end whenever spoiler, when they died. So, but I did not expect to see that. So I didn't expect that. I was like, what's going on
that
here?
is not what happens in the game.
No,
I didn't play the game,
it's
so I didn't know.
It's kind of alluded that because he says that's my partner. So Bill in the game, Bill walks up on Frank hanging, like he's arguing with Joel about something, and they walk into the room and they see Frank hanging from like the rafters or something like that. And Joel's like, "Did you know this guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's my partner." So it kind of feels like there's some emotional tether there in the game, but Bill's alive.
The fact that he writes the letter, it basically tells him to fuck himself. That's basically what the letter that Bill reads is as, dude, tell him to go fuck himself. He's like, I hate you.
To Joel.
No.
In the game.
Okay. I didn't.
So they changed it a lot because I'm trying to remember the impact that Bill has on that game. Doesn't he have a bigger impact in that game than?
Yeah.
So it's been a while since I played it because I played it when it came out, that first game. Explain to everybody what his impact in the game is, Matt.
It's been a long time since I've played it. We need Max for that. Max plays this game like every 5 months, I feel like.
Well, if you watch the preview for the show, I had no inclination it was going to be a love story of two men.
Oh, right. I knew it was because they teased it.
I don't remember. I didn't get that take on it.
I
thought it was a good episode. I don't like, some aspects some things I don't need to see, but that's just me. But I thought I cared about him at the end when they both died. I thought it was gripping the whole episode.
I mean, it's good television because it took a character who was kind of a loner and was a doomsday prepper. It was very much set in his ways of being alone and okay with it, and showing him through the power of love and relationship that there's still good in the world and that you can come back from this and kind of change your perspective on the world. And the fact that they chose to die together, something that, like, you always say till death do us part, or you want to die with your spouse, and it never really happens that way. But like, just the fact that they went together in each other's arms is kind of like poetic beauty in a way. I don't think it was like the greatest TV show ever made or episode ever made, but it was very good, and it was a nice little story told in an hour and a half.
That was a long.
We can't even do a podcast in an hour, so it was a good hour and a half.
So in the game, I forgot about this. There's a lot more interaction between Ellie and Bill in the game, to the point where Ellie actually beats Bill with a pipe. Because like they break into his compound or whatever, which you see the compound in this, like that's very true to the game. He's kind of a prepper in the game. Joel and Ellie break into the compound and Bill catches them, and then Ellie breaks free and beats them with a pipe. Joel stops her, and then they ask to borrow a car, but he doesn't have a car. So that's where the car thing comes in. But let me see. But before this, so like Frank and Bill, they escaped before or when the virus was happening, and then Frank leaves Bill and disappears. And then they go into this church, I think.
So they were
And
together.
Tess is not dead at this point when Ellie meets Bill.
But Bill and Frank were together before the pandemic.
Because Tess
It
dies
alludes
when they
to it.
reach the first outpost. So when they reach the first Firefly outpost, that's where Tess dies. If I remember correctly. Because she does get bitten. She dies the same way, but it's not till later on when she dies.
And Frank is homosexual in the game. Because
Yes.
it says Bill begins to tell Joel about his partner Frank trying to hide his homosexuality while doing so, saying he had to look after him. He finishes by saying that caring for someone is good for one thing, getting you killed. Before he says more, he sees Ellie touching his comics. He shouts at her, reinforcing what he said before about not touching anything, but she replies with an obscene gesture, irritating him. Which, by the way, Bella Ramsey, that's her name, right?
I did the same
The
thing. Like,
actress.
bitch, don't touch my comics.
But as far as the mannerisms and everything of Ellie, this girl does a great job. Wouldn't you say?
I don't know.
For
She's
me
kinda
being
got the
so-
face of a potato.
But for me being so against her casting, as far as her portrayal of Ellie, it's pretty spot on.
No disrespect to her, because I'm sure people look at me and they're like, God, you're ugly as fuck. But she reminds me of the crash test dummies. Like
Yeah, I
her
can see
face is just, she just like her
Don't get us canceled,
expressions are
Matt.
just. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just saying, like her just facial expressions are. I'm sure she's a lovely person, whatever her pronouns may be. But just say, like, I'm sure she's a lovely person, but her face just reminds me of a crash test dummy.
I can see that.
So then Bill
I can
takes
definitely
them to help them find a car. They find a car, but the battery's missing. So that's where the battery thing comes in. They fight a bloater, the ones that kind of explode, which I can't wait to see that on the screen. Matt,
I mean,
one of those
what?
bloater zombies.
Yeah,
That's gonna be fucking awesome.
she looks like Sloth. She looks like Sloth from the Goonies.
No, that's not nice.
Look,
She's not bad looking.
No.
She just doesn't look like
a crash test dummy.
she just doesn't look like Ellie. And
That's
that's the issue with these.
Unsee it.
That's the issue with these video games is they're so realistic that we all know Pedro Pascal and we were still like Joel no. Right?
Right.
He's growing on me, honestly. After episode 1, like by episode 2 and 3, he's kind of growing on me as Joel.
And he was
But
hardly
when
in
you
episode
first
3,
heard
obviously.
him cast, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Right?
They should have Joel McHale play Joel.
I don't know. It was a good third episode, but I didn't expect it.
It is the soft jaw underbite. Yes, Joe. 100%.
So they manage to reach a house where they take refuge. Joel asks what the plan is, but Bill replies that all their plans are gone, angrily insulting Tess while doing so. Joel goes to retaliate against Bill for bringing Tess up again, but Bill stops abruptly. Joel notices that there's a hanged corpse in the room. Joel asks if Bill knows the man. He does. It's the body of Frank, Bill's former partner. He had hung himself after becoming infected, not wanting to turn into a monster. Despite trying not to let it show, Bill is saddened by his death. Joel finds a suicide note near Frank's body in which Frank tells Bill that he hated his guts. Bill is taken aback by this, but again does his best to not let it show. He throws the note away after reading it. They find a truck in Frank's garage which contains a stolen battery. Bill finds the battery's drained. Oh, that's a bunch of bullshit.
100% Lopez. I loved her in Game of Thrones, but I just don't. There's just so much better castings for Ellie, but maybe they just didn't have the money to pay those actors or actresses. Who knows?
So Bill is mentioned by Joel a few months later when he and Ellie reach the University of Eastern Colorado. That's where the Fireflies are at. Joel states that the Fireflies could be using the infected as a form of defense like Bill did. What?
I'm laughing at Lopez's comment. The forehead, you could land a 747 on her forehead.
Well, it tried to land on her, but it crashed in the movie, in the show.
It is unknown what happens to him after they left, though it can be assumed he is still alive, given how he never goes near infected if he can help it, and fortified the church and nearby streets with several traps. Events of Last of Us Part 2. Ellie mentions Bill to her girlfriend. 5 years later, while on a mission for revenge, Dina expresses disbelief at Bill having an entire town to himself. Ellie recalls Bill's traps and how Joel navigated his way through them. So he doesn't ever die in the game.
I don't care. You can take the liberties you want. It was a good good story.
Now that I'm rereading it, it kind of makes sense. Like after the whole scene of like getting the car and the weapons and stuff, from that point he is kind of a throwaway character, right? Because he doesn't really play any plot devices. He's not part of any plot devices after they get the vehicle. So he's crucial to the show as far as getting them the vehicle because they drive off in a truck. But you could have done whatever you wanted to get up to that point.
Yeah.
Because he plays no part after except for casual mentions and conversation between Joel and Ellie and stuff.
Yeah, but I liked it. This show has grown on me. Like I was kind of on the fence about episode 1, but since then, episode 2 was really good, and I really enjoyed episode 3. Like I said, would I call it the greatest piece of television history? No. Would I call it the best episode of television ever written? No.
Would you call it the greatest love story since the Titanic?
Yes. Absolutely.
I thought Nick Offerman was awesome.
Yeah, Nick Offerman did a fantastic job.
Although in the game, I do remember Bill being even more crusty than he was in the show. And I would have liked that a little bit.
I would not have put that actor who played Bill to play a gay role.
Speaking of that, they're bringing that back to theaters. JP, do you got your tickets to go see it again?
What?
Which one?
Titanic. They're re-releasing in theaters over Valentine's Day.
I'm so sick and tired of James.
I already bought it. I cannot wait to take my wife to that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good episode. I kind of feel like it was a very long episode to explain how they get a truck. Because that's really the only like lasting effect of that episode is, oh, Joel and Ellie have a truck now.
Well, I have to tell you that in the one scene halfway through when Bill, right, the crusty guy, gets shot, how did he survive that? He got shot right in the stomach. Right? They don't show much. Like none of those guys were versed in medical stuff. Bill would have been more versed than Frank.
We really don't know what Frank's profession was before he met Bill.
Yeah, but it wasn't like he jumped on trying to, fix the wound. It just, I don't know. I think that would have killed in another show. Someone gets shot in the stomach, you're done. I just think that's. And
I feel like they kind of allude to it a little bit because Frank gets Parkinson's and he kind of self-diagnoses his Parkinson's and kind of is, as you see it, is in a way treating himself until the point where he doesn't want to live like that anymore. So,
well, the whole reason it's not even that he doesn't want to live like that anymore. It's the fact that he's like, that's my last medication.
Yeah.
So he kind of takes it as a fact of there's no treating myself anymore because the medication I need is gone, which isn't something that's talked about often in these zombie post-apocalyptic things is people with debilitating illnesses. What do they do when the medicines run out?
Yeah. So Hartman brought up a good point. He says the radio plays that song at the end of episode 1 because they're dead. Is it because they're dead or is it because they're being attacked at night? Because it doesn't really establish a timeline.
No, the attack is 10 years prior to them dying.
Is it?
Yeah.
I gotta watch that episode again. So
yeah, okay. The attack happens because when he gets shot in the gut, he puts him on the table. It doesn't even tell you what happens at the end of that fight. It's just all of a sudden it's
that's right. You're right. Yeah. Because I haven't watched it since Sunday. I only watched it once.
So yeah, I would say the radio is indication that they killed themselves.
There you go. Good job, Hartman.
Yeah, I just thought how well written the dialogue was in this episode. Like there was points that kind of made me laugh. There was points that I understand that it was a very progressive idea, the whole episode being based on two men, especially in a show that's geared towards male, video game. Sometimes, and I'm not trying to say us on this show are, but you typically see like people invested in the video game culture and comic book culture. Like you see a lot of like bigotry and stuff like that. And to put this kind of episode in this kind of show where a large part of your audience could be these stereotypical people that all three of us have met at some occasion, right? And to put a gay romance for an hour and a half in this episode, it seemed very progressive to me. But what I liked is it wasn't too, it was done in a way that wasn't like too over the top either. We've seen a lot of projects come out with gay centric characters where it's so over the top and it's almost perpetuating a stereotype. This in no way perpetuates any sort of stereotype when it comes to gay men, right? Like, what was the movie that just came out that flopped in theaters? Bros?
Yeah.
Bros is very stereotypical, is perpetuating the stereotype, or a lot of this stuff is. I can't even watch Queer Eye for the Straight Guy because I think it's so stereotypical, right? But this is they're just two guys being dudes and dudes being guys. Essentially, it was kind of refreshing to see this kind of story told in that fashion where they're like, do we need Bill to come out in fucking a sparkly trench coat? No, we don't.
Says it looked like they were just two dudes in love and they were manly, if that makes sense. Well, it seems like
you guys understand what I'm saying? I'm trying not to sound like
I
get it. We're not trying to we don't need Jack McFarlane and Will from Will and Grace. It was a different take.
I'm tired of that story. I'm tired of that portrayal because
they're not all gay people are flamboyant in your face.
And
stop it. Just stop it.
Stop it, silly goose. They're not all Mr. Slave from South Park. They're normal people. Like
I don't have many gay friends, but I have enough to know that the majority of them don't act like that.
Right. Some of them do. I mean?
Like, yeah, and that's fine. Whatever.
I've met some that are very butch and straight laced, and then I've met some like Cena Grace. He's one that's very out there, and like RuPaul was for a long time. But there are a lot of gay men that are very much into hunting and fishing and just cars and everything that you're into. Just their choice of sexual partners is different. They're not flamboyant and in your face.
I really did like the episode, and my wife, who tends to be, she grew up in a very Christian household and stuff, so she didn't have a lot of experience with that kind of culture like I did, being in punk rock bands and stuff like that growing up. She was like, oh, that was really good. She enjoyed it. Like, and it was kind of a story that she doesn't get to see often, not by avoiding it by any means, but she doesn't get to see that side of it often. And I felt it was very true to my experiences with gay men. Right. That's
what kind of experiences with gay men do you have, Lance?
That's one of those things I was talking about. You should pull that out.
How many pull it out, huh? How many shots in the mouth have you taken, Lance? There's a story here.
Even if I did, there's nothing wrong with it,
Lance, because I want to hear about this, Lance.
Even if I did, there's nothing wrong with it.
I'm not saying there is, but I'm just saying that there's some stuff to unpack here. Like I think you're secretly
all you have to do is just go. You just got to go ask Max.
Yeah. But I just say, like, secretly you're laying some heavy stuff here of your homosexual past.
But what was cool too is that like it also didn't push it into the other direction of these guys are just constant manly men all the time either. Like, so it throws in that scene with the strawberries where they're being very sensual and cute with each other.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So I thought it was a very real representation of a typical gay relationship.
Yes, it's very much like you're in Max's relationship. We get it.
No, it was refreshing. It was good. It was good television. Now, would I say that that's one of the 10 best? What was the article I read?
No, it's just the way of
best
getting
episodes ever
the hype
written.
to it.
No, but it was a very good episode, and it could come down to potentially being the highlight of the season.
I hope not.
Well,
not because
I'm hoping it gears up the action and stuff, but as far as
Right.
dialogue is concerned and just like storytelling, because the last episode 2 had way more action than this one. I mean, they were fighting clickers and stuff in episode 2. They didn't really fight any zombies in this one.
No.
Except for her like playing with that one, slicing his head open, and
dude just fought that one-eyed monster that was in the other guy's pants. That's all.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was a very nice episode, and
Lopez likes it. He said, "You brought that home, dude. 100% agree."
It gave me a lot of faith as far as the writing and direction could be for the next. How many episodes are in this season?
Yeah, but
probably 10.
If there's
10,
if there's gay men and women in the apocalypse, we're not going to survive as a race. We need somebody to procreate. Somebody got to be out there, right?
Well, what are you expecting? Like 100% of the population is just going to go gay? I don't
How
understand.
many gay men are out there
Someone's
that
gonna have
still
to change, move in the other lane just so that we can procreate. So someone's going to have to,
Yeah, but could you tell yourself honestly that and obviously that is so, like, that situation is so above the top, you know what I mean? But in a post-apocalyptic setting, I wouldn't want to bring children into that world.
Yeah, but there's a chance you're going to survive, and you need to repopulate. You gotta
eventually. And I would say even if gay men or gay women were tasked with that just because you're gay doesn't mean that the deed to getting somebody pregnant is out the window. Like, that can still
no, that's what I'm saying. That would be a good episode, though, if you had nothing but all gays left and they had to repopulate. So they had to cross border or whatever.
So you just have this butch bull dyke lesbian hooking up with this really flamboyant dude just to repopulate the world.
The other thing about this that I really like too is, so we all know, well, Matt and I know from playing the first 2 games that the homosexuality aspect of these games has always been a strong thing, right? From the minute you play the first game, you're kind of suspecting that Ellie is lesbian, right, Matt?
Yeah.
So it's been an overarching theme throughout this whole video game. It's kind of cool that they started with this just to get it out of the way early, so there's not all this anticipate. You know what I'm saying? So now they can just start with, this is the world we live in early, rather than.
Have you ever seen the movie
how to say it?
40-Year-Old Virgin? JP.
Yeah.
So it's like that scene where they're doing the speed date and he meets Gina. Like, Gina, what's up? I've been a lesbian. I swore off dick for many years, and now I'm trying to get back up on that pole. That's what you're talking about, huh?
Exactly.
It'd be the switch
100%.
hitter.
But dude,
that's right.
We all saw
do what you got to do for the population.
We all saw A Quiet Place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see how hard they had it having a kid.
Yeah, you can't have kids in the apocalypse. Like, look at The Walking Dead. But
what's the point of getting through it if you're gonna just?
That's right, Joe Doolin.
Well, JP, you're not gay, so you're not. I mean,
you don't know his life.
I just don't see it as that. I don't see it as that far-fetched.
What's this mean?
They
wouldn't be a P.
Yeah, they wouldn't be a. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Problem.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Oh, there we go. I saw it there. Okay. It was right after Boner.
You ever get stuck with the last pick of the kickball team?
Yeah.
Well, that
was usually me.
That's the quote of the night. That's the quote of the night.
Usually me.
Oh, we're both fighting it. You do it. That's Hartman, that's the quote of the night. I love it.
But all right, well, you guys watching anything new that you want to shout out and recommend for people?
I'm watching Poker Face on Peacock, which is pretty good. It's Ryan Johnson that did Knives Out. He's got another show called Peacock.
Oh yeah, with the chick from American Pie.
It's
and also
good.
Russian Dolls.
And then I watched The Peripheral, which I liked. That one, dude, I binged the fuck out of The Peripheral. I couldn't stop watching it. I watched the entire season in one day.
If you have Apple TV and you like Ted Lasso, check out Shrinked. My wife and I, it's got Jason Segel and Harrison Ford in it, and me and my wife just started watching it. It's only 3 episodes so far, and it's been really, really funny, really good.
And then there's Inside Man that's on Netflix. It's only 4 episodes. That's it. And it has who's Purple Man?
Shrinking, it's called. She came out of the room to tell me that. She's like, "You're fucking wrong. It's Shrinking."
Who's the dude? Is it David Tennant that plays Purple Man? It's Doctor Who.
Yes.
So he plays like a priest. Stanley Tucci's in it. That one's pretty good. Inside Man on Netflix. Ooh, Nate Bargatze just dropped a new special. I'm watching that shit tonight.
Oh my god! And that '90s show got renewed for season 2 already.
Of course it did.
Netflix confirmed today. But
nice, but they canceled Paper Girls. But that was Amazon.
That was Amazon.
But I heard that they were trying to shop Paper Girls. Is that not the case anymore?
They are. They still are.
I really hope somebody picks it up because that show was awesome.
But anybody got anything else?
Tennant. Joe's Dolan says that Tennant show. What's that?
David Tennant. He said that David Tennant show is good.
Oh, the David. Sorry, I was thinking The Tenant. I thought there was a show called The Tenant. Yeah, it is good.
Anything else, Lance?
No, I got nothing.
JP?
I'm still trying to finish Daredevil, so I have nothing new to add to the repertoire of shows.
Daredevil.
Season 2. I got to the Punisher when he got in jail.
The Netflix stuff?
Yeah, the old one from years and years ago.
What year is this?
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about?
I know, sorry. I got to finish that first, and I have to finish, what's the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. I got to finish that one too, so way behind here.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast. I want to thank you so much for everyone in the chat. Joe's Doolin, Hartman, Darth Lopez. I saw Patrick jump in. Everybody in the chat tonight, my beautiful wife. We thank you so much for joining us each and every Friday night and joining in the conversation. Make sure to check out tomorrow night right here back on the channel or over on Red Vision when we have Saturday Night Special, where we will be interviewing the one and only Tim Seeley. So we have a great comic book writer and artist over there tomorrow night. So come check that out. Make sure to check out the last episode of Absolute Game of Nerds. They have a really good yeah, well, I would say last because their next one's coming up Monday. So who was your guest last week? Pretty big in the YouTube community.
Last week we had Lawrence from Mighty Comics, and then it's going to be a show that we did regarding grading books, and then our next interview is going to be with Lunch Money Comics. So
there you go. That'll be what's dropping Monday. Is their interview with Lunch Money Comics? So check back on the channel.
Great job on that show, JP.
For that, make sure to check us out be right here on Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, actually, I should say Monday and Tuesday to get a look at your Marvel and DC and independent books that are releasing this week from Ish. We got a lot of good content on the channel, and hopefully only to keep going and going and going. So for this week's episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast, I'm Matt.
I am Lance.
And I'm JP.
Saying have a great weekend.
And I'm JP.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Wash it up.
Worship. You didn't get that third Yinzer.
I got it.
You got nah.
Yin's worship, because oh my gosh, we're gonna get some.
Oh my gosh.
All you freaks and geeks.
Come all you freaks and geeks. Let's listen to Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
We'll go ahead and spread our cheeks
Spread the cheese.
and drink
And
some
we're for
Cosby wine.
We'll
Come
drink
on,
some
you
Cosby wine. It makes me feel real fine. See you next time.